Now that we've got the journal entries text and emoji available, let's emit those from the entry editor whenever the form is submitted. I've called the event create, as it fires whenever the user attempts to create a new entry. Now, if you hover over text, you can see that it correctly references the value of the text reactive ref and has the proper type of string. Likewise, emoji has the proper type of emoji or null. Notice that neither is a ref of string or emoji. Instead, it's the type of the reactive ref's value, which lines up perfectly with reality, since reactive refs are auto-unwrapped inside of view templates. Alright, even though we've emitted the event at the proper time, we're still not quite finished. In View 3, it's always recommended to register all of your component's events. This helps to better document how a component should work, and will give hints to our IDE to make working with TypeScript and events easier. We can do this inside of script setup with the defineEmits macro. Also, since we're starting to get a bit more code in the script section of this component, let me add in a couple of comments just for organization's sake. Okay, now when I say that defineEmits is a macro, what that means is that it doesn't run in the browser. Instead, it's transformed by the compiler at build time to code that does run in the browser. Essentially, defineEmits compiles to the emits option that we'd use if we weren't using script setup. So, using the defineEmits function allows us to define it without ever leaving the script setup context. But what is defineEmits really doing for us? Well, let's go over to app.view and interact with the entry editor component from the outside to see what's going on. I'll type in the @ which is the shortcut for \on, and as you can see, we've got a great many events that we can listen to. That's because the root element of the entry editor component is still an HTML element just like any other, and has plenty of built-in events. However, if we start typing create, which is not a typical element event, we can see that our IDE is smart enough to autocomplete that one for us as well. Awesome. Now, don't let the red squiggly line fool you here. It's just upset that we haven't defined a handler for the event yet. To prove to you that create only showed up because it was registered with defineEmits, let's try listening to the same event on the header. Sure enough, the create event is not listed in the autocomplete options. Sweet. Let's remove both event listeners now. One approach that we can take to make our custom events even more visible is to prepend them with some symbol consistently across our project. For instance, we could append all of our custom events with the @ symbol. And then, on the form where it's actually emitted, notice that because create is not defined in defineEmits, we get a red squiggly line. But as soon as we match it up with what's in defineEmits, we're good to go. Nice. This should keep us from ever emitting an event that we haven't defined. If we go back over to app.view now, this time when we begin adding an event listener to the entry editor, our create custom event is listed at the very top. And typing the @ symbol again limits the entire list of autocomplete options only to the component's custom events. This is some pretty powerful stuff. It takes all the guesswork out of interacting with a component's events, as all of them are autocompleted whenever we actually go to use the component. That means less docs we have to write, and less time component users have to spend referencing the actual component code or component documentation. Alright, believe it or not, we haven't even addressed where TypeScript comes into play. We'll do that in the next lesson.